Monday, October 4th, 2021, 9:16 a.m. This is interview number 1 with Mr. Jason West, attorney Eli Sampson conducting. All right, Mr. West, please start from the beginning.
Okay. My name is Jason West. I own an arcade here in Portland. Well, this all started when I was 15 and a bunch of weird shit happened when I was a kid.
Have you lived here your whole life?
Yeah, I've moved around a bit, but I've always been in the Portland area. I've never wanted to leave the place.
It's okay, Mr. West. Just take a deep breath and tell me exactly what has happened.
Okay, so, like most kids growing up in the 80s, I was big into video games. Our arcades were relatively a new thing in 1981, but we were the nerds, and the arcade was one of the few places that kind of gave us a refuge from the bullying. The cool kids didn't really spend a lot of time there. So anyway, there was this small little hole-in-the-wall arcade in Portland called Galaxy. It was this ratty place with filthy 70s orange carpet. I remember this one time, one of the games went dead, shorted out because the water leaked down on it from the ceiling. It was run by this guy named Hal. Hal was an asshole, always wearing these stained wife beaters, but he knew what the kids liked, and he always had some of the newer games coming out.
But, Mr. West, what does all of that have to do with what just happened?
Well, that's the thing. None of what just happened would have happened if it wasn't for Polybius. I figured after the accident I needed to get a lawyer. Hire you. Just in case I need to defend myself in court.
All right. Please continue.
One day we showed up and there was this new game in the back corner. It was new, but it looked old, like kind of beat up, like it had been moved around a lot. It was called Polybius. My friends and I like to try new games, but my standby was Missile Command. It came out a year earlier and I smashed on that game. Top position in the high scores list for months. But my best friend, Wes, was the best at Pac-Man. We would go in there and have such a good time. So Polybius just showed up one day. It looked fun, weird looking. Abstract geometric patterns and colorful shapes moving, very fast action puzzle elements. My friend Wes was kind of shy, but he actually wanted to play it first. So he popped his quarter in and we all watched him play the game. But I can't remember what the actual gameplay looked like. Anyway, we were going to take turns, but Wes was really glued to the game, focusing hard on playing. He played for like a solid 25 minutes when, I remember the door opened and a bright flash of sunlight came through the door and shined off the Polybius screen, and Wes came out of it. He stopped playing, turned around, and looked confused for a moment. He was out of it for a bit, but he seemed okay. Then Jimmy started playing it. It's all kind of hazy after that, but I remember I had to go home and Wes and his sister Mary had to go meet their parents at school for a play. Jimmy was still in there playing Polybius when we walked out the door.
I still don't see how that's related to the girl that died in your arcade, Mr. West.
I'm getting to it, honest. I'll never forget seeing Polybius in the arcade that first day. The vision of it sitting in the back of the room, it seared into my head forever. And it was only made more strange by the fact that it was there again the next day. And then it was just gone. I'm going to have to tell you about what happened on the second day later. It's a much longer and complex story that may or may not be connected to this.
Okay, we'll set up another appointment for tomorrow, if that works for you.
Of course. So, years later, I was reading some gaming forums online and I came across a story about Polybius. It was referring to it as an urban legend. In a way, I guess it really is. No one else has really heard of or seen this thing. It just kind of popped up in Portland in 1981 and then vanished. But you see, there were these rumors of kids that had bad reactions to the game. Like we heard there was another kid named Kyle or Kenny or something like that. He was found wandering the road about 2 miles away from the galaxy and he had lost his memory. Didn't know how he got there. He didn't come back to school after that. Something had happened to him and he wasn't right after that. Some folks thought it was the game that caused it. And then there's what happened to Jimmy. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I got a good job after school and saved up quite a bit of money, and I wanted to buy the old Galaxy and turn it into something modern for the kids today. Gaming was such a big part of my childhood that I thought I could share that with the local kids, help them experience what I experienced. So I bought the building and opened Galaxy 2. Old Hal even stopped by for the grand opening, although it was even meaner than ever. It went well with the kids. They loved it. I learned how to repair my games and even got really proficient at building games. I built a couple of tribute cabinets and they were big hits. One day I got the idea to build a Polybius tribute cabinet. By that time the urban legend was better known in the gaming world and a few people had actually created games with the Polybius name. I thought it would be cool to build a custom cabinet and install one of the fan games as an emulator. It wouldn't be the original game because nobody has ever seen one since then, but it would be my tribute to that fleeting game that captured my interest. I had never played it, but I couldn't stop thinking about it after all these years.
So you built this custom game cabinet and loaded it with an emulator of the fan-made game with the Polybius name.
Yes, I even got the marquee with the logo and everything. The kids loved it. It was a hit. There were even kids coming from nearby towns to play it because they had heard about it through the grapevine, and I had the only one. Then I got a couple of calls one day from the police and Billy, the guy who works for me.
Hey, Jason. I wanted to let you know I was going in to open up today, and there were these weird-looking guys hanging around the entrance when I pulled up. They almost looked like government agents. They're wearing all black suits and ties and dark sunglasses. I don't know exactly what they were doing, but they were just standing near the door, and when they saw me pull in, they walked to their car, got in, and took off. I got out and called after them, but they didn't stop. So anyway, the door was locked and I opened up, so I didn't think too much about it. And when I noticed Polybius stayed off when I turned on the main electrical, I went around to see if the fuse needed replaced. There was a metal serial plate there that I hadn't seen before. I don't remember you putting anything on the cabinet. It says USG 8121-7. Do you know what that is and where it came from? Anyway, the fuse was fine and the switch was simply in the off position. It must have been some kind of electrical surge, but I turned it on, no problem. It was weird though, the lights flickered when I turned it on. I don't know what caused that either. We might have to have an electrician out here to check out the breaker box and the wiring. It powered up okay though, and there's already a few kids here huddled up around it.
Yeah, hi, this is Sheriff Landon with the Portland Sheriff's Department. If you could give me a call back at 503-555-8749, I'd appreciate it. I've got a kid here that we found out wandering on West Burnside. He's very confused and is having trouble communicating, but we did get one word out of him. Galaxy? Since Galaxy 2 is not too far down the road, well, see, this is unfortunately the only lead we have at this time. We're trying to figure out what happened to this boy. If you have any information about this, we'd appreciate you filling us in. Please give me a call back at your earliest convenience.
That was 2 days ago, Friday. I closed the arcade yesterday, 'cause of what happened Saturday. I was there and I saw everything. Nobody much had been playing Polybius all day. It was like they were spooked or something. They would walk up and stand in front of it for a moment, just staring at it, and then walk away and find some other game to play. But then I remember looking at the clock just as the girl came in. 9:16 p.m. She stood in the doorway for a minute and pushed her glasses up before walking directly to Polybius. She pulled a quarter out of her pocket and pushed it into the coin slot like she was born to do it. Laid her hands on the joystick and buttons and played the game like I've never seen anyone play it before. Funny, I can't seem to remember the gameplay, but I remember her staring at the screen hard, engrossed into the game. A few minutes later, she went into convulsions. That poor girl had a seizure, still staring at the game. Her hands on the controls, and then she dropped like a rock, collapsed to the floor and convulsed for what seemed for like an eternity.
What did you do at that point?
I froze. I couldn't move. I had an overwhelming fear wash over me, and it's something else. I felt the strongest sense of deja vu. Like I'd lived the moment in another life, or maybe as a kid. I just stood there, kind of shocked at what was happening. One of the kids there called 911 on their phone, and another one knelt down by her and was holding her head until the convulsions stopped. The EMT station's just down the road, so they got there pretty quick. The kids moved back to give them room, but as soon as the EMTs got down to her, they started giving her CPR. She must not have been breathing at that point. I finally snapped out of it, starting to getting the kids out of the building. The ambulance lights were flashing in the dark, bouncing off the building outside through the glass door, throwing crazy shadows. I walked back in to see the EMT pumping that girl's chest, and I glanced up at the game, and it seemed weird. Like the air was thicker or darker around it, or something.
And then she died.
Yes. Oh God. What have I done? I just wanted the arcade to be a safe place for kids to play games and not worry about anything. And I'm responsible for that girl's death. It's all my fault. Amy was her name. She was just 15. She had her whole life ahead of her. The game I made killed her. It must have been the flashing lights in the game. She must have had epilepsy that triggered her seizures. I should have known. I should have stopped her before it was too late. But I didn't know. I couldn't have known. Could I?
Yes. Well, I think that's enough for today, Mr. West. Go home and get some rest and come back to see me tomorrow at the same time. We need to talk about what happens now. The police haven't charged you with anything, but you could easily be liable. The parents might want to sue you for negligence. Did you have any warning signs in the arcade that flashing lights in the room or the games could cause epileptic seizures?
No.
Yes, that might be a problem. Well, only time will tell. Let's pick up again tomorrow and we'll try to sort it out together. Let me show you out, Mr. West.
Hello, no one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
Mr. West, we've determined that the child we found on the road today was at your arcade earlier in the day. His mother has kept us up to date on his condition and, well, it doesn't look good. He's suffering almost complete memory loss and difficulty speaking, and the confusion just keeps getting worse. When he can talk, he's talking about the past. Look, Jason, I don't know what happened in Galaxy 2, but I can't help but think there's a connection to what happened in 1981. Call me back as soon as you get this message, please.
Hey, Jason, it's Tuesday morning. I thought you would be here with what happened. Well, I just came in to help clean up, and look, Jason, I don't know what the hell is going on, but when I arrived, the door was hanging wide open, and it was gone. Polybius, it's gone, you hear me? Someone broke in and took Polybius. There's just an empty spot on the floor where it was. I'm gonna call the police, and you call me back. Let me know if there's anything else I'm supposed to do.
Mr. West, it's your attorney, Eli Sampson. It's 9:30 here, and I'm just reaching out to you to see if you're going to be able to make it in today. I haven't heard from you since yesterday, and I just want to make sure you're all right. Please give me a call back when you get this message.
Hello?
Wes? Hi. Sorry. I know we haven't spoken in a long time, but I had to call you. Wes, I think it's happening again. I think it's happening again.
To delete this message, press 7.
Message deleted. End of messages. Check erased messages. Press 1-9.